Guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back, and if you are new, you are going to love it here, so please subscribe. Today we will be going over I will be showing you guys my 2026 updated brow routine. Just a couple of tips and tricks that I do to get my flawless everyday brows, so if you are interested, please keep watching. Okay guys, I'm just showing you the tools that you'll need for your brows. I'm using the Morphe Brow Pencil in the shade Java. I believe these come in 5 different shades. I am using my handy dandy concealer brush, which I love. You need this brush. This is the Morphe 224 brush. It is a very sharp concealer brush that allows you to get straight under those brows, so I definitely would recommend this. Next, you'll need a skin tone concealer. I'm using the Juvia's Place concealer in shade number 9. It is literally maybe my skin tone or one shade lighter. And you'll need your brightening concealer. This shade should be at least 2 shades brighter than your skin tone. I'm using Tarte Shape Tape, and this is in the shade Tan Deep Sand. Last thing we'll need is a brow gel. This is the NYX brow glue. This one works perfectly fine. I know there's so many different brow gels, but just find one that works for you. This works perfectly for me. We're going to start off with that Morphe Brow Pencil, and I'm just showing here that it has 2 ends. It has a spoolie end that you use to brush your brow hairs with, and then a pen end on the other side, and that's what you use to draw your eyebrows on. So we're going to take that spoolie in, and we are just brushing our brow hairs up. You can brush them in kind of like the natural shape that they go in, or you can kind of change your shape with this. I just kind of brush the front up and then the arch kind of down to the side. So once we're finished brushing our brows up and out, we are going to take the pen end of that brow pencil, and we are simply just going to draw a line right under our brow. We're just following the natural shape of our brow. You don't have to complicate this, just draw one straight line. So what we're going to do next, we're going to simply draw a line on the top of the brow. So we lined the bottom. Now we're just doing the same thing, following the shape right on the top. And for each step, you guys, so I will repeat the same step on my other brow. I'll kind of do it symmetrically. I'll line on the bottom one brow, line on the other brow on the bottom, line on the top this brow, line on the top the other one. So that way everything is symmetrical. So once we have our line on the bottom and the top, we're just going to take the spoolie end of that brow pencil and brush our brows through, just to see clearly where we need to fill in the middle of our brow, and also to make sure we didn't draw our lines too harsh. So everything's looking good so far. As you can see, we have our shape. So our next step would be filling in the sparse areas of the brow. So I'm just pointing to where those are for me. Each person is different. And this is where I'm going to do light hair-like strokes in those blank space areas. So I'm doing that here. You want to have a light hand when doing this, and just literally light strokes is the best way to achieve a natural looking brow. And something else to keep in mind when you're doing this is that you want the end of your brow to be more defined than the front. So the front, I'm really having a very light hand. I'm basically feathering as I get to the front, because you want it to kind of have a faded effect look. And as you guys, I'm just showing you guys here what I mean. As you can see how it fades into dark. So that's what you want. That's what you want it to look like. And I'm just showing you in detail how I do those hair light strokes. Very light hands. And I'm taking my skin tone concealer now. This is the Juvia's Place in shade number 9, and we're taking that handy dandy concealer brush. I'm placing some concealer on the back of my hand, and you really want to get that concealer really in your brush. I'm working it back and forth into my brush, and we are going to carve out the front part of our brow with this concealer. So we're literally carving out right under where we put that line on the bottom of our brow. You want to take your time in doing this step. You want to make sure you can get that line as sharp as possible. That brush makes it so easy for you to get a sharp line. So just take your time. You really want to neatly carve your brow out to get a clean look. And we're just putting this concealer in the front part of our brow. This is concealer that matches our skin tones. We're just going about halfway right before we get to the arch. Now we're taking our highlighted concealer. This is the one that's 2 shades lighter than our skin tone, and we're going to use this concealer to clean up the arch of our brow. So same step, but we're using this toward the end of our brow. And you want to take your time with this as well. Make sure you really are carving out that arch nice and clean, and just take your time. It's all about taking your time. There's no rush. And I kept this in real time just to give you guys an idea of how long it actually takes. It's not just a quick 1-2 thing. You actually want to take your time with this to make sure you get a nice snatched brow. So just don't rush, guys. Don't rush. So after we carve that brow out, we have our concealer down. We're going to take any buffer brush and just tap that concealer into our skin. Just use tapping motions, and eventually that concealer will disappear right into the skin. And you want to make sure that you're very thorough with this step. You don't want to see any harsh lines of concealer left, so really take your time. Make sure that's buffed into the skin thoroughly. So after we finish that step, as you can see how our brows are looking, it's giving nice and clean, and we're not even done yet. We didn't conceal the top, but this is what we should be looking like thus far. Okay. Next step was we're taking that brow gel, the NYX brow glue, and we are going to apply this to our brows just to make them stay in place. The brow gel gives a nice lifted look. So we're going to take the applicator and just run that gel right through our brows in the upward direction, just in the way the brow hairs go. And this is going to ensure that those hairs stay in place and it kind of disappears into the brow. It's clear, in the shade clear, so that's what you want. Sometimes we may have a little indent or a mistake in our brows. I'm just going to show you how to fix that. You're going to take your brow pencil and just kind of go over. You can always redraw back on if there is a mistake, so don't worry or freak out if you see something out of place. We can always go back in and then clean that up with concealer. Our next step, guys, is to clean up the top of those brows just like we clean up the bottom. I'm taking my foundation shade. You can use either foundation or a darker concealer that is close to your skin tone. We're taking that same concealer brush and the same step that I use with concealer. I'm just getting that product all over my brush, and I am going to take my time and carve out the top of that brow. Some people like to use foundation. I like to use foundation personally because when I do the rest of my makeup, it blends nicely into my foundation and the rest of my face. Some people like the consistency of concealer, but it is really up to you. Either way looks good. Our last step, guys, is just to buff that concealer in at the top of our brows. Make sure you do it very thoroughly because this is where people look at the most, is at the front, the top of your brows. So make sure you take your time and blend it right into the skin. As you can see, guys, here's the finished result. The brows, they're given almost twins, might I say so myself. Okay, nice and symmetric, nice and even. Hopefully you learned something to put into your brow routine next time. But yes, guys, there you have it, guys. That is my updated 2026 brow routine. That is what I currently do, and my brows, I get them pretty close. Listen, I get them pretty close to twins, to be honest with you, okay? But hopefully you learned something, you guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.